PGI proudly presents a salty sale. Get it? A salty sale? Assault mechs are on sale? Why are you still here? Run off to the store, guys! Assault mechs are on sale once again, and this time it is the whole set of assault mechs except a few exceptions, which we of course we're going to talk about. But as always, guys, I have already read the questions on the Discord and in the YouTube comments. And it's like, TTB, there's a new sale going on. What do you recommend? What do you recommend? Well, I've covered a few of these already, but I figure, guys, in the interest of completeness, and also because sometimes I forget stuff and I might mention it this time, let's talk about my personal recommendations on what to buy during this new sale that's going on for the next few days. And if you have other recommendations or other cool builds that you would like to share, put them down in the comments. And of course, guys, all the builds that I'm mentioning, all the mechs that I'm mentioning, there's tons of videos on these mechs on my channel. Just use the search tool to get to them. Okay. First up is going to be, guys, one of my favorite mechs of all time, and that is going to be the Annihilator. Annihilator, mean baby, great as a learn boat, great as a brawler with SRM6s, insane as an MRM 120 boat. If you do have the MC, get this one. It is amazing. If you just want to spend C-bills, have a look at the 2A for maximum Dakar. This thing can do something like 6 AC5 or UX5, UX10s, 5 UX5, that kind of stuff. The 1X is the predestined boat if you want to do heavy Gauss rifles and, for example, medium pulse lasers or medium lasers. And the 1P is interesting if you do faction warfare because of these insanely high weapon mounts. You can do an insane single heatsink build with ER large lasers. Okay, so much for the Annihilators. Let's have a look at the Atlas. Well, you guys already know that I do not like the boar's head because it does have structure as quirks instead of armor. It's an interesting mech, but because of that, I don't like it. If you want to go for a hero mech, get the Kraken, because the Kraken actually has armor instead of base structure quirks. Other good mechs in here include the DDC, if you want to have an Atlas that can run ECM and or can go completely dark with stealth. This is one of the only two 100-tonners that can do stealth, the other one being the Marauder 2. If you don't want to get the DDC, then there are two viable choices here. The K with double AMS, insanely tanky mech, guys. One of my favorites. Really good for groups to lead the charge through the trenches and also cover the team with AMS. Or you could go for the Atlas 7D, which I believe is the most tanky of the lot and also a really fun mech to play. The Atlas 7S also deserves some mention here because with this thing you can do the AC20 and quad SRM6 build that just hits like a truck. Also a very fun mech to play. Next up is the Awesome. Do not get the Pretty Baby. It's a bit of a lemon, even though it looks nice, unless you don't want to go ahead and complete your set. Other than that, there are some interesting options in here. The 8Q in particular for all those nice PPC quirks and the heat scale limit for the whole PPC family. So if you like PPCs, try this mech, but it is a very wide boy. You have been warned. Now let's look at the Banshees. We've already covered the Lama Lynch, and yes, guys, that is actually how you pronounce it. Google it in the Spanish version. Is a little bit of a lemon because of the same issue that the Atlas Boar's Head has. It doesn't have any kind of huge armor quirks. So what I would recommend on the Banshee side of things is either the 3M for a pure on medium pulse laser, large pulse laser, or large pulse laser and medium laser build, or there's also, where is it? Come hither and talk to me. Yes, the 3S is also quite interesting. We can also do some very cool builds with this, and as you can see, the weapons are grouped fairly close together, so you can have a lot of fun with this mech as well. MRMs, maybe a heavy Gauss rifle, and some lasers. You will hit like a truck. Fun mech to play, but you will have to manage 3 weapon groups at the same time. But as we've seen from the last Fafnir video, that can also be done. Next up is going to be the Siren. I have mixed feelings about the Siren. It has the ability to put a missile launcher in the arm up here, which is fairly high up, but since it's in a shield arm, it is also prone to falling off, so I wouldn't recommend the Siren, only if you want to go ahead and complete your mech set. So let's talk about the Battlemasters. The Hellslinger. Well, it has an interesting camo pattern, but that's about it about the Hellslinger. I haven't really gotten to make this thing work properly yet. What I can say though is that some of the other models are extremely good. For example, you can look at the, where is it? I always have to click through the models because I'm never sure which one I want to talk about. Yeah. The 3M is very interesting. Look at these high weapon mounts. Really, really good. Also has the PPC velocity if you want to build a PPC boat with this. Or the 3S also has these high mounts. Very, very nice. And you can run this with 5% less energy heat. So very nice for good old laser boats of any sort, basically. Battlemaster, definitely one of my favorites and highly recommended by me. Okay, let's look at the clan side of things here with the Blood Asp. First up, the Rancor is the only one that gives you these insane high weapon mounts for missiles. If you don't have the Rancor and you're looking for a decent hero mech in the assault department, this one's really good and also a great basis for your Blood Asps. If you don't want to get the Rancor, then get the Blood Asp A, for example, because that one has the ECM in the center torso, if I'm correct, but I will have a look here. Yep, the ECM in the CT. You definitely want to have ECM with your Blood Asp if you can manage, because it just keeps your mech that much safer. And the Blood Asp, of course, excels at Dakar, and you can also build a really, really mean Lurm boat if you have the Rancor and you combine it with the Omnipods from the Blood Asp B. Next up, and on sale for the first time, actually, is the Charger. Well, the Charger is kind of a weird thing in between the, let's say, the Orion and the Atlas, or comparable, I would say, to the Victor, but not as good, in my opinion, at brawling and more focused on laser weapons. So, in my opinion, Charger, if you don't have them, get them, because they're fun to play, but don't expect them to be the best performing mechs out there, because they're not. I actually went ahead and got the Charger N7, the lucky number 7, just because it has this nice paint job that just looks ridiculous. And we had a fun game in this, but you're basically running the armaments of a toned down Battlemaster with that, with less optimal hardpoints. So, you know, you have been warned, but it does have this nice laser pistol in the arm. So I guess if you want to style, go N7. Okay, let's talk about the Cyclops, everybody's darling, Sleipnir. If you don't have one, get one. Easily one of the best assault mechs of all time. Cyclops, Sleipnir, UAC 5, UAC 10s, Quad Rack 2s, Rack 2s, and UAC 10s, heavy Gauss rifles. So many builds you can do with this thing. It is just amazing, and it has a really nice paint job as well. If you don't want to get the Sleipnir, well, there are several options here available. Feast Your Eyes on the 10Q. This one has 7 missile slots in total. You can do something insane with that, for example, like 6 SRM6, or the Biter Special 6 Streak 6 that I've used with Biter in tandem with 2 of these, and we have basically destroyed the enemy team with that with over 1000 damage each several times. So 6 Streak 6 on this build, really, really nice to have and a lot of fun to play. There is also one Cyclops, I believe, that has ECM, and it is the 11P, but it's a little bit of a weirdo. If you want to play a Cyclops with ECM, go ahead and try it out. And with 4 million C-bills right now, it's not that expensive. Okay, let's talk Dire Whale. The Dire Whale is very dire and very whaley. It is very slow and very big, very easy to kill, even though it is a 100-ton assault mech, but it is one of the most powerful mechs out there. If you don't have the Ultraviolet and you like Dakar gameplay and long-range Dakar gameplay, this is the undisputed king of long-range Dakar. 8 AC2s will destroy everything in your path at over 1000 meters, so get this mech if you don't have it yet, and if at 50% off, it's actually definitely worth it. If not, then you can just get any old Dire Whale, for example the Dire Whale Prime, and you can do something like medium lasers and Gauss rifles. It works really, really good with that. Okay, let's have a look at the Executioner. Now, the Executioner is a weird assault mech. It has 95 tons, but it also comes with mask equipped and a huge engine. So, long story short, you can only load very little amounts of weapons on these. If you want to, get the Sherby just because it has this beautiful, beautiful paint job. Whoever did that, tip of the hat to you. This looks really, really good. If not, then just get any odd of the executioners. This is an Omnimax. You can just swap out parts and try the ones that you like. Just take care that there's nothing in a CT that you want, because then you want to make sure that you pick that base model for that. Okay, next up is going to be one of TTB's darlings as well, the Fafnir. Well, look at that. You remember this guy that does 3 alpha strikes at over 100 damage each? This thing is currently on sale, and it has, in my opinion, one of the best paint jobs in the whole Inner Sphere. Just from the get-go, this beautiful golden color. If you wanted to have a gold mech, you would have to pay $500 back in the heyday, back in the starting days of MWO. So, yeah, I love this mech. Get the RAF, and remember when you're playing it to always yell, "Come on!" If not, then go ahead and have a look, for example, at the Fafnir 5B. That's a really, really nice heavy gauss boat. Or you can have a look at the Fafnir 5, which can run beautiful, let's say, quad UAC 10s. Sorry, not quad UAC 10s, quad UAC 5s. Or you can do UAC 5, UAC 10s. You can do quad LB 10s. That is what I wanted to say. And all sorts of other builds. And all the Fafnirs, if I'm not mistaken, except the 6EU and the 5E, and the 6R. So half of the Fafnirs come with ECM, the RAF, the 5, and the 5B, and those are the most important ones. So get the Fafnir, insanely good Inner Sphere 100-ton assault mech that just destroys stuff. Next up, the clan thing, the jogging man, the Gargoyle. Well, the Gargoyle excels at being very fast on the battlefield, and it also excels at being able to run a ridiculous amount of small lasers and small pulse lasers. So if you want to farm money with that thing, or if you love the Gargoyle, then get the good old Kinwolf, and you can just build this to your heart's content. It's a fun mech, it has a nice paint job, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with that. If you don't want to have this thing, then just go ahead and get any odd Gargoyle. Just make sure you maybe get the Gargoyle D, because it has the 2 center torso mounts, if I am not totally mistaken. Okay, next up is the Hatamoto-Chi. First up, the Shogu. Well, it's a hero mech that runs 4 ballistics and 4 missile slots at 80 tons. So you have all these slots where you could put amazing weapons in, but here's the reality of things, guys. You're only an 80-tonner. If this was a 100-tonner, it would be amazing. At an 80-tonner, you are very limited in what you can put into this thing. So aside from a nice paint job and the ability to look like a shogun on the battlefield, only if you want to complete your collection, which is what I did. So expect a video on this very, very shortly. Other than that, there are some other variants available. Take note of the 28 TR. This one comes actually with ECM, and I believe can also go stealth, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be the 3rd mech that can go stealth. And I am not mistaken. So this can go stealth. But the problem is, again, you have an 80-tonner. You're going to be very limited in the amount of weaponry and heat diffusion you can bring with you. So Hatamoto-Chi, interesting in my opinion. You can do a solid MRM build, for example, on the 27T. Or you can do some solid Daka on the 27W with AC5s, 3 AC5s, and some other weapons. Can be interesting, worth trying out, and at 3.5 million C-bills, you're not throwing away your money. Okay, let's talk about the Highlander, the Inner Sphere Highlander. First up, the Heavy Metal. This is a fun mech. It's definitely not a mainstream mech, and it's definitely not easy to play, but it has insane amounts of armor, and has some nice quirks for ballistic, missile, and energy. And it has an inbuilt warhorn, and it's unique to this mech, so you can only have the warhorn if you run the heavy metal. And it also has heavy metal right on the Gauss rifle, so I like it. It's a sentimental favorite. I love to play this thing. If not, there are other good variants available, and they're basically always the same thing with some missile slots, some laser slots, and the right-hand arm for some Dakaing. That's it. That is basically the Highlander. Just look at the quirks, look at the available hardpoints, and then choose what you like. I've tried to play this with a lot of MRMs, like MRM 120, but I found out that it just runs too hot. You're missing 10 tons here to be able to fully cool that. So that might be a little bit overkill. Next up, the clan cousin, the Highlander IIC. Highlander IIC Keeper. I would say recommended buy. It's a fun mech to play. You can do something like double Gauss and quad SRM6 or quad Strix 6. A lot of fun to play. A lot of people don't really respect this mech, and it has also really, really good tanking capabilities. Got extra armor on the arms and extra structure on the rest of it, and has a gorgeous paint job as well. So I would say, yeah, that's a recommended buy. If not, then just get any odd Highlander IIC. We have to be careful though, and that's a trap I've run into several times. Highlander IIC is not an Omni-Mech, it's a battle mech, so you can switch out the engine, but that means you cannot switch out. There are no Omnipods. So there is one Highlander IIC that you need to be aware of, and that's the A. And that's exactly what I wanted to mention, because that thing can shoot triple ERPPC without incurring any heat penalty. So for that reason alone, highly recommended. There's a video on this channel where I do 1400 damage with this build. Triple ERPPC, nothing else. Highlander IIC. Next up, back in good old Inner Sphere lands, it's time for the King Crab, the Kaiju. The Kaiju can run lots of ballistics combined with energy and missiles, and can just feel a lot of weapons onto the battlefield. I would say the Kaiju is a fun assault mech to play. It's not going to be insanely powerful, but it is definitely very powerful. And you can do something like heavy Gauss rifle, triple large pulse lasers, and triple medium lasers, or you can do something like heavy Gauss and MRMs. There's lots of options that you have. Those mounts are nice and high up, but you will have a few issues with convergence between the ballistic mounts and the missile mounts up there. As you can see, they're fairly widely spaced apart, so keep that in mind. If you don't want to get the Kaiju, then there is the quadruple zero. Nope, never mind, I am talking wrong. It is the 000. That thing, for example, can run 6 UAC2s or 6 AC2s, and you can have a lot of fun with that long range ducking, with the added bonus that you have the weapons in the arms, so you can actually aim up and down properly. Well, back to the clan lands, back to clan, what is that, Ghost Bear. And this is going to be the Spirit Bear. The Spirit Bear used to be one of the best, if not the best, brawler in the game. It has fallen from grace since then due to the engine desync. Still a fun mech to play, but not as agile as it used to be. PGI, for whatever reasons, unfortunately has failed to ever buff this mech again or give it a rework, because it could really use the added agility. Other than that, it has a gorgeous, gorgeous camouflage, as you can see, and you can still do some fun builds on this with, for example, Streaks or SM6s plus, AC20, UAC20, LB20, and this thing can also run masks, so it can be deceptively quick, and lots of people don't know this mech anymore because very few people play it. So if you like brawling, if you like fast assaults, give this thing a try. Just remember, if you're watching old videos of the Spirit Bear, it's not going to be as fast as the videos that were uploaded 3 years ago. If you want to go for some Daka, the old king of Daka Doom was the Kodiak 3. WAC10s up here, WAC5s, and you will be golden. Lots of fun to play, and still a very, very fun and rewarding mech. We're staying in the clan lands, and we're going to the Mad Cat Mark II. Death Strike. Buy this mech. You know why. I've made countless videos about it. I've said it several times during the sales. Buy the Death Strike, just an amazing mech with double Gauss rifles and ER mediums, for example, or UAC10s and ER mediums. Really, really fun to play. And also make sure to buy the Mad Cat Bravo. That is the spiritual successor to the Kodiak 3. With the exception that the weapons are now in the arms and not in the side torso anymore. Therefore, they are a lot more agile. This thing can actually aim not only up and down, but also left and right, so it has hand actuators. So this is a lot more agile in where it can shoot, and a lot smaller in terms of the frame, so it stays healthier in general. It doesn't lose its side torsos as quickly. Just combine this big hulking Kodiak against this rather tiny Mad Cat Mark II, which is still a 90-tonner. Kodiak, of course, being a 100-tonner, so you have a little bit more room for armor and ammo. The Marauder 2, unfortunately, is not on sale, so I can't talk about that. What I will talk about, though, is the Marauder 2C. First up being the Scorch Hero Mech. Great brawler, can also run some fun builds with ATMs. Not the best paint job ever, just this like burnt end here. But like he's kissed a volcano or something, but definitely a fun mech to play. Has very nice and high weapon mounts for the missiles. Recommended buy for sure as a brawler and just as a fun mech. If not, then just have a look at all these mechs. They're all fun to play, they're all very interesting, and be careful though, all battle mechs, not omni mechs, so you cannot swap out the omnipods in those, but do check out my channel. There's quite a few guides on Warhawk IIC builds, for example, the normal Warhawk IIC with lots and lots of lasers or medium pulse lasers. I've also done the A with a mixed build of ultra autocannons and PPCs. There's a lot of stuff you can do, so just check out my channel if you're interested in builds for that. Next up gonna be the Mauler, the Knockout. That is an interesting assault mech. It's a little bit weird. It's very wide, as you can see, but you can run interesting builds like double MRMs and then some ballistics with it. Definitely powerful and definitely fun to play. I think I did MRMs plus rotary autocannons, and that was quite the blast. So have a look at that thing and see if that's something for you. If not, then there are two mechs that I would recommend here to buy. The MX90, because it is it's like one of the most used and best performing Dakar assault mechs in the Sphere department. This one can run 6 ballistics, so 6 AC2s, for example, or you could do all sorts of mix and match here. Quad Yurk 5, for example, is also one that you can run here, or Yurk 5, Yurk 10s. I'll leave it up to you, but it is a very, very solid mech. And the Mauler 2P is also interesting because it has 10% ballistic cooldown, as well as 20% UX jam chance and 10% laser heat generation. So what you can do with this thing, for example, 2 ballistic, 6 energy, you can do double UX 10s and 6 medium lasers, or double heavy Gauss rifles and 6 medium lasers. It has a lot of firepower because of that, and it's deceptively strong, so that's also recommended buy. Next up is going to be the Nightstar. You guys already know I really like the Wolf Phoenix for its MRM and Streak/SRM6 brawling capabilities. If not the Wolf Phoenix, then you might want to look at the 10P if you want to run it with ECM. Other than that, there are other models available that are interesting and not that bad to play, but always be aware that this thing is just wide as a barnyard. As you can see, like look at this. The weapons are so wide apart they're not even fitting on the screen right now. So weapon convergence is always going to be a problem with the Nightstar, but they are very tanky. Just make sure you don't face tank too much because this cockpit likes to get shot in the face. Okay, let's talk about the Stalker. The Misery is an okay to good hero mech, I would say. You can run something like Heavy Gauss, for example, and then MRMs and some lasers. Definitely fun to play and has a very unique paint job with all this like pockmarks and impact craters around it. Definitely looks great. It also has these like little shark teeth and the eyes up here. So it's something I just enjoy. If not that, well then have a look at the Stalker. Where is it? The one with the ECM. And the one with the ECM is the 3FB, right? Yes, it's the 3FB. There we go. This one can do a nice long-range large laser or ER large laser boat. You can have a lot of fun with that thing. And with the ECM, it keeps you fairly safe. Slap a black or black and gray paint job on that, and you will basically be almost invisible on a map like not Polar Highlands. What am I talking about? HPG Manifold. There we go. See, my brain is already turning to mush, but the good thing is we're nearing the end of the video. Let's talk about the Supernova. First up, the Boiler, double UX 20s. Need I say more? That makes this thing insanely dangerous, combined with, for example, some brawling capabilities with SRM6s or streaks. So definitely recommend a buy if you don't have it yet. It's a lot of fun to play. I also did not mention this, but there is a Nightstar that can do the same thing, and that's the only Nightstar I would recommend to definitely get, and that is the Nightstar 9S, because that thing can run as the only inner sphere mech, can run double UX 20s and not incur heat penalty. So double UX 20s and 4 medium lasers is the maximum that you can do in terms of armaments, but it hits like a truck. I mean, that's double 20, so 40 times 2 because double tap. We're at 80 plus the 4 medium lasers, 100 alpha strike damage pinpoint. Very, very good, very, very scary. The Boiler just does it a little bit better, in my opinion. If you don't want to get the Boiler, there are other options here. These are also battle mechs, not omni-mechs, so you will have to choose which kind of variant you want. If you like learn boats or ATMs, definitely get the Supernova A, because this one has 4 missile hardpoints. This is one of the best platforms for clan learning, in my opinion. Well, then we have the Victor. The Dragon Slayer used to be one of the best, if not the best, nimble brawler assault mech in the game for a time, but it has fallen from grace since then. But it is a very storied mech, and if you don't have it yet and you're just looking to complete the sets that you have, then get the Dragon Slayer. If not, there are other good choices available, but all the victors are basically some ballistics, some missiles, and a couple of lasers. The 9S is interesting. You can do some kind of an Atlasy build with that. Or, if I can find it, of course, and that is not very easy for me sometimes, we are looking at the 9B. This one has an AC-20 arm, for example, and 2 missile slots. But I would probably defer towards the 9S, because that thing should be available to run exactly 3 SRM6s here and the AC-20 in the arm, and then you put a XL engine, because you need the tonnage in there, some ammo, heat sinks, jump jets, and you have a very nimble, very fun brawler. But you better be an expert at that, because, again, it's an XL assault that is going to be brawling, so you will be a little bit at risk. Warhawk, well, an Omni-Mech again. There are several options that you can choose from here. Some of them have missiles, some of them are good for lasers. There is the Warhawk, which is it? Is it the Charlie? Yeah, it's a Warhawk Charlie. It has ERPPC velocity, for example, so you can do quad ERPPC, and that used to be, or is still, a very, very dangerous mech to go up against on long ranges, because you can quickly dish out 50 damage, 40 pinpoint plus 20 spread onto enemy mechs at 900 plus meters. So yeah, be very afraid of this thing in the hands of a good pilot, of a good shot. Then a nuke, well, you can do some interesting things with that, because it has a few pods that you normally can't get. One thing would be the right arm, where you have 2 ballistic slots instead of just 1 on the other mechs. So you could do like a Dakar mech with that. Or you can have a look at the right torso. This one only has 1 missile slot though, as opposed to the Warhawk Bravo right torso, 2 missile slots. So you don't really win much with that. So in my opinion, Nanook, if you want to go ahead and complete your set, go ahead and buy it. I'm still undecided whether I want to buy it or not, so that's why I don't have it. And last but not least, a fun mech to play, but a very weird one, and that's the Zeus. The Zeus has a few mechs in there that have interesting capabilities. It always comes with that weird missile fist, the really, really weird missile fist that people seem to like a lot though. And some lasers in the arms, and there should also be a variant where they have some ballistics, yeah, in the arm. So I'll leave it up to you which one you want to choose. They have some good quirks here. For example, the 9S2 has a missile cooldown quirk of 15%. And if you put some SRM6s in there or some Strix in there, you can have a lot of fun with that thing. But it is, once again, an 80-ton assault, so, you know, you get what you pay for, basically. Of note, if you want to have a lot of fun and you want to go speed, and you want to go drifting, then go with the Skokomish Hero Mech, because that thing, with the right engine, and that is an XL 395 or 400, and mask, will go 115 kph for short periods of time, which makes this thing absolutely ridiculous as a brawler with quad SRM6 or with streaks. But quad SRM6s on an assault mech is a little bit undergunned, so you get what you pay for once again. That concludes today's recommendations on mechs to buy during this assault sale. Unfortunately, mech bays are not on sale, so you have to wait until the next time these are up for grabs. Hope you guys got a few ideas on what to buy here. If you did, let me know. I'm always happy to read that my content is helping you guys out. And once again, if you have builds or recommendations that you feel I haven't mentioned, or that should also be mentioned, put them in the comments down below so everybody can read it. This has been TTB. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.